Hello RUSD, my name is David Venny and I'm an instructional coach at Horlick High School. Today's on-demand PD is going to be a brief overview on how to use Google Classroom. Now this video is going to be geared for people who have really never utilized Google Classroom before, so it's going to be very basic. If you're looking for more advanced skills or tricks with Google Classroom, you probably want to reach out to your tech integrator or instructional coach within your building. To get to Google Classrooms, all you want to do is log into your ClassLink page. So I'm there already. This is my ClassLink. And within ClassLink, there is a folder that says Google Apps. So if you click that folder, within it, you will find Google Classroom. Give that a click and that will launch Google Classroom in a separate browser tab. If you've never used Google Classroom before, you probably have nothing on this page. As you can see, I have used Google Classroom before, so I have different classes. This is a class that I'm sharing with a teacher right now, and these are some other test classes that I've created in the past. So each of these icons here represent a different class or period or block, depending on however your school day structure works. To make a new class, you will want to click the plus sign in the top right corner. And you have two choices. You can create or join a class. If you're the primary teacher of this class, you probably want to create it. And what you want to do is type in the class name. So this could be the period or the block or the room number, what have you. That is the only thing that's required on this page is a name for your class. The section, the subject, and the room are all optional. If you'd like to fill those out, feel free to do so. So I'm going to click create and you'll see it starting to think and create. And here we are. We have made our classroom. There are a lot of different features that you can utilize here and really customize your Google Classroom, but we won't go into all of that. That's something I'd encourage you to play around with. One of the beauties of Google Classroom is there really is no way that you can break the program. So feel free to kind of mess around with things. You usually can always go back to a previous setting, so don't be afraid to kind of dig around and play with stuff. Going across the top, we have the pancakes, if you will. If we click that, this allows me to toggle between my different classes that I've created. So if this is your first class you've ever created, you probably only have one in this list. But since I have many classes, you can see all of the different classroom or Google classes that I have made in the past. But we're going to stick in this one for right now. Running across the top, we have the stream. The stream is very similar to if you're familiar with Facebook. In the stream, you can post announcements or other types of things that are happening in your classroom would go here. And so to post in the stream, right where you can see the picture of my icon, I can share something with my class. And so I could type some information here that we have a test coming up or a project is due or what have you. And if I were to post this, let's say this is a test post. I am then able to decide what class I'm posting it for. It automatically defaults to the class you're in, but I could actually post this across multiple classes if I would like to by this drop-down menu. And what students see it. Since I have no students enrolled in this class right now, you would just it'd be to all students. But if you wanted to have individualized posts show up in the student view of the classroom, you certainly could do that. And then I can just click post and this will show up. This is a test post. Speaking of students, if you want students to join your Google Classroom, there's a couple different ways that you can go about doing that. On the very front page of your Google Classroom, there is something called a class code, and that is it right here. You can expand this by clicking this box. This is the display feature. And if you're in a classroom and you have a projector, this is typically how I would have my students join my Google Classroom. I'd let them get their Chromebooks out. They would go into their Google Classroom app through ClassLink, and then where that plus sign was, they could click to join a classroom. And this is what they would type in, is these characters, and they'd automatically be enrolled into my Google Classroom. That's probably the fastest way to do it. Now, if you're doing this virtually, you would need to either email or text or via phone share this class code with your students so that they are able to enroll in your Google Classroom. Now, that's one option. There are other ways that you can go about having students join your Google Classroom. Going across the top where it says people, if we click that, you can see there's a spot for teachers, and there I am. And if I have a special ed teacher or an EA or some other support in my class, I can add them by clicking this little person with a plus sign, and I can invite teachers into my Google Classroom. Down below students, here again is the class code that you could give to them for them to join your Google Classroom, or you are able to manually invite students into your Google Classroom. So if you just start to type their name, you can then start to see names populate. So if I wanted to invite this individual, I could click their name, and then they would get an email sent to their student email saying, hey, you're invited to this Google Classroom. Feel free to join. Now, again, if you're doing this virtually, your students would have to check their student email to even be able to realize that a Google Classroom exists, that they've been invited to join it. The other tab that I think is most used once you kind of get students enrolled in your classroom is the Classwork tab. Here is where you can create assignments, share PowerPoints, do all sorts of different things via Google Classroom. In order to do that, I'm going to click this plus button where it says Create. And this allows me to basically do a couple different things. And there's a lot of options in here, and we're not going to go through them all. My main goal is to basically talk about the topics option and the assignment option. If I click topic, what that's going to do is I'm going to actually create like a unit, if you will, for your class. So I kind of think of this page like a 3-ring binder, and in your 3-ring binder you might have like those dividers that indicate like chapter 1, and then underneath that chapter 1 divider you have all of your worksheets or what have you, assignments associated with chapter 1, and then chapter 2 and the assignments and worksheets associated with it. That's what topic is. So if I want to, say like unit 1, let's say I'm teaching an astronomy class, I'm going to call it the stars. And that will then create a topic, unit 1, the stars. Maybe I have another unit and it's called unit 2, say the moon. And I'd make that as a unit. And so you can see it's like dividing my page up into different types of units, and there's a tally of them on the left-hand side here. If I want to change the order of this, like I don't really like that 2 comes first before 1, I can grab this and move it up top and then rearrange the order very easily on this page. Now let's say I'm ready to start assigning work to my students. What I can then do is click Create and then an assignment. And with an assignment, you can do all sorts of different types of documents that you share with your students. So let's just say this assignment was dealing with the stars, so maybe I'm going to call this the HR diagram worksheet. Okay, and this is something I'm going to assign to my students. And if I want to provide some instructions here, I certainly can. I could say, please complete all of the odd problems. On the side, I can then assign who gets this assignment. And right now it automatically defaults to the class I'm in, but I can again assign this across multiple classes. So if you have 3 astronomy classes that you teach to, 30 different sets of students, you could quickly check the boxes and assign this assignment across multiple classes. It's really cool. You also are able to personalize the assignment for specific students. So if you want to differentiate the work and give 5 students a different version of this assignment than say the other 25, you absolutely could, and the students would know no different because they're all being assigned these assignments just based upon the view from their screen. In terms of points, I a lot of times did not grade or keep a grade book, I should say, in Google Classroom. And the reason why is Infinite Campus and Google Classroom currently do not talk to each other. So a lot of times I made it ungraded, but if you want to have it have points, you certainly can. It's totally up to you. You can assign a due date if you'd like by using the calendar. Down here on the right hand side is where it says topic. This is where I can then organize it on that initial page that I was on just previously. So I can say, well, I want to assign this HR diagram worksheet to unit 1, the stars, or unit 2, the moon. Or if I didn't make the topic, I just hadn't done that yet, I can now create the topic right here if I want to. But this worksheet is going to deal with the stars, so I'm going to assign it to unit 1. If there's a rubric that you want to attach to it, you certainly can do that if you wish. At this point, I a lot of times did not attach a rubric, and this originality report is kind of like a cheap version of Turnitin. It compares the student work to a database that Google has in terms of things that are on the internet, and if students have copied, you can then find out in some form or fashion that students have plagiarized their work. Now, in order to actually attach the assignment to this, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can add it by clicking the paperclip, And then you can, if you use Google Drive, search through your Google Drive and pull a Google Doc out, a PDF, a slideshow, what have you. Whatever's in your Google Drive, you in theory could attach to this assignment. If it's a link, like you want them to watch a TED Talk or go to a website and read some stuff, this would be a spot to do that. Or if it's a file on your computer, you can then click the file button and then upload a file from your computer. And then here's YouTube, so if the TED Talk's on YouTube, you certainly could use this as well. So I'll just go into my Google Drive and I'll quickly find hopefully a Google Doc. So I'll pick maybe this one here. And here you can see the Google Doc has been added to my classroom. I can add multiple assignments to this, or multiple documents, I should say, to this one assignment. So if I want to go back to my Google Drive and add, say, another one, maybe it's a diagram or something that students need to see, I certainly can do that. So maybe a Unit 7 text questions, I'll just add that. I now get the choice on how students receive this document. If I pick students can view file, basically everyone will view the same document and they cannot edit it at all. They have no editing privileges, they can only view it. I can change it to students can edit the file. And what that means is if you assign this assignment to all 30 of your students, all 30 of them are going to edit the same document. I haven't found a lot of use for that feature just because it gets crazy having 30 students on one document editing the same document. The option I used most often was make a copy for each student. So basically what happens is each student is given their own version of this Google Doc document that they then have in their possession, and they can type right on it, change it, do whatever they want to it. And what's interesting is, and in the top right corner of that Google Doc, there's a button that says submit. So when they're done, they submit it to you as a teacher and you will get that assignment. So once you're all set and you feel like things are looking good, you can click assign. And then this assignment will then be created in your list. So here you can see now we're back to the classwork page of our Google Classroom, and here is that HR diagram worksheet, and it's due tomorrow. So my students would now be able to see that assignment. They have the ability to change some settings on their end that they could actually then get an email from Google Classroom saying that your teacher has assigned an assignment. They also can get updates pushed to their phone if they so choose to do that. So there's a lot of cool things that on the student end. One other thing I will add to this assignment piece is if you assign a PDF or some other type of document that's not editable, you cannot share it with each individual student. They can certainly view it, but they would not be able to go in and actually type in it. So if your assignments are all PDFs, you would sadly have to convert them all into Google Docs, which would be kind of a challenge to say the least. So you really need to either use a Microsoft Word document or a Google Doc in order to actually share copies of that assignment for each student to get their own individual assignment, and then actually submit it back to you to be graded. That's basically it with Google Classroom. I mean, there certainly is more features that one could go through, but if you can do these things, you really could use Google Classroom with your students and then be able to actually collect work, assign work, and utilize the tool. Grades, I haven't talked too much about in this video, but these would be things like if you actually make your assignments worth grades and you keep a Google Classroom gradebook. And like I said, since it doesn't talk to Infinite Campus, it never made a whole lot of sense to me to actually grade the work within Google Classroom to then have to transfer it to Infinite Campus. So I never found that to be that helpful. If you do have any questions or any concerns, again, my name is David Venny. I'm an instructional coach at Horlick High School. Feel free to shoot me an email, or the tech integrators are fabulous people who would be able to help you with Google Classroom or your instructional coach within your building. Hope you all have a very nice day. Take care.